Right now, your attic is sitting at 150 to 160 degrees Fahrenheit. Outside, it is 95 degrees. That is 60 degrees hotter than the air outside your front door. And every one of those degrees is pushing down through your ceiling into every room where your air conditioner is trying to hold 72 degrees. Your AC is not fighting the weather. It is fighting your attic. And it is losing. Here is the part that stopped me cold. Gay F, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, Atlas. Every major shingle manufacturer in the United States has the same condition buried in the fine print of their warranty. Adequate attic ventilation required. If your attic is not properly ventilated, the warranty was void the day your roof went on. You paid $12,000 for a roof with 30 years of coverage. You may have gotten zero, and the roofer who installed it may never have checked. Here is what that actually costs you. When shingles fail early, when they curl, crack, or shed granules into your gutters, and you file a warranty claim, the manufacturer sends an inspector. That inspector goes into your attic. If the ventilation is inadequate, the claim is denied. You are on your own for the replacement. Roofing Contractor magazine surveyed contractors across the country and asked how much shingle life they see lost to bad attic ventilation. The average answer was 24%. Some reported up to 50% in extreme cases. On a $12,000 roof that is $3,000 of lifespan, you are never getting back from a problem you cannot see from the ground. Add the energy cost. The Department of Energy documented that proper attic ventilation cuts cooling costs by 10 to 15%. On a house spending $2,000 a year on cooling, that is $300 back in your pocket every summer. Not dramatic on its own, but compare it to the roof you are replacing 7 years early, and the warranty that will not cover it. The energy savings are almost a footnote. Here is how the system is supposed to work, and why yours probably isn't. The design is dead simple. Cool outside air enters at the bottom of your roof through vents in the soffit, the underside of the eave that overhangs your exterior wall. That air rises along the underside of your roof deck, picking up heat as it goes. Hot air climbs. It exits through a ridge vent at the peak, that thin raised strip running along the top of your roof. As hot air leaves through the top, it pulls cooler air in at the bottom. A continuous loop. No fan, no electricity, no moving parts. The roof does the work. When it is working, your attic drops to within 10 to 15 degrees of the outside air. On a 95-degree day, that is 105 degrees in your attic instead of 160. A homeowner in Austin, Texas had their system properly balanced, and their attic went from 140 degrees to 95 degrees. 45 degrees from an air path that was already supposed to be there. Research shows approximately half of all American homes have evidence of improper attic ventilation. Half. And the most common failure is not a missing vent. It is a blocked one. The blocked soffit. The problem in half of American homes, here is what happened. Blown-in insulation drifts toward your eaves over time. That insulation gets stuffed into the rafter bays by installers trying to maximize coverage. Sometimes rodents drag it there. Sometimes it just settles. However it happened, the result is the same. The intake at the bottom is sealed shut. Nobody knows. You have an exhaust at the peak pulling air out. Nothing can get in at the bottom. It is like a chimney with the fireplace bricked over. The air sits in your attic and cooks. Sometimes it is worse than that. During a siding job, vinyl or aluminum soffit panels get installed over the original solid wood. From the ground, you look up and see what appears to be perforated venting. Push up on it with your hand, and it hits a solid surface. Air was never flowing through. The vent was cosmetic. The house has been pretending to ventilate for years. Here is what else the trapped heat is doing. Your family generates 2 to 4 gallons of moisture every day. Cooking, showers, breathing, that moisture rises. In a ventilated attic, it exits through the ridge with the hot air. In a sealed attic, it condenses on the underside of your roof deck. It soaks into your insulation. Wet fiberglass insulation loses up to 80% of its R value, its ability to block heat from passing through. The insulation you paid for is barely functioning because the ventilation that would keep it dry is blocked by the insulation itself. If your HVAC ducts run through your attic, and in many American homes they do, your air conditioner is pushing cold air through ductwork surrounded by 160-degree air. The air warms up before it ever reaches your rooms. You are paying to cool your attic instead of your house. And if you live anywhere it snows, a warm attic melts snow on your roof from underneath. That melt water runs to the eaves which hang past your heated living space and are cold. The water refreezes, builds into a ridge of ice. More water pools behind it, backs up under your shingles, leaks into your ceiling. Ice dams, hundreds to thousands of dollars per event, started by the same blocked soffit vent. The mistake that makes it worse. Stop doing this. You notice your attic is hot. You Google it. The first result recommends a powered attic fan, an electric roof-mounted fan with a thermostat. You spend $200 to $300 on one. It pulls hot air out of the attic. Sounds logical. Here is what actually happens. The fan creates negative pressure in your attic. If your soffits are blocked, which in half of American homes they are, There is no outside air to pull in, so the fan pulls conditioned air up through every gap in your ceiling instead. Recessed lights, plumbing chases, the attic hatch. Your expensive air-conditioned indoor air gets drawn into the attic and blown out through the roof. Your AC runs harder. Your bill goes up. The Department of Energy Building America program explicitly warns against powered attic fans in homes with inadequate intake ventilation. Their study found these fans pulled an average of 231 cubic feet per minute of conditioned air out of the homes they tested. You spent $300 to make your AC bill higher and your attic hotter. The actual fix, clearing the insulation from the soffits, was free. Here is how to check yours in 2 minutes. Pick a morning before the day heats up. You do not want to be in an attic at 160 degrees at 2 in the afternoon. Wear gloves, long sleeves, and a dust mask if you have fiberglass insulation. Grab a flashlight. Get up there. Look toward the low point where your roof slope meets the top of your exterior wall. You are looking at the space between each pair of rafters right where they meet the eave. If you can see a gap between the insulation and your roof deck, maybe some daylight glowing through the soffit vents, air is getting in. That is what you want. Now look for the opposite. Insulation piled up against the roof deck all the way to the edge. No gap, no light. Pink or yellow fiberglass shoved right up to the underside of the roof, stuffing the rafter bays completely. That is your problem. You just found it. The $0 fix. One afternoon. Put on your gloves. Reach in and pull the insulation back from the soffit openings. You are not ripping it out. You are pulling it away from the eave 6 to 12 inches, so there is a clear channel from the soffit vent up into the open attic. Work your way along the edge rafter bay by rafter bay. As you clear each bay, you will feel air start to move past your hand. That is outside air entering your attic for the first time in however long the insulation has been sitting there. $0. One afternoon, done. The $40 permanent version. If you want to keep the insulation from drifting back over time, install rafter baffles. These are foam or cardboard channels. Long, shallow trays roughly 2 feet long and the width of a rafter bay. You will find them in the insulation aisle at any hardware store. Slide one into the space between each pair of rafters right where the roof deck meets the soffit. Staple it in place. It holds a clear air path open permanently and keeps insulation from creeping back. Rafter baffles cost $1 to $2 each. A typical house needs 30 to 40 of them. Total cost $30 to $80. A few hours with a staple gun. Not glamorous work. The kind of afternoon that pays you back on your electricity bill every month for the rest of the time you own this house. Why your roofer never told you. The roofing contractor industry generates over $76 billion a year in the United States. The average roof replacement runs $10,000 to $20,000. The roofer's job is the surface. Strip old shingles. Inspect the decking. Lay new ones. Install a ridge vent because building code requires exhaust ventilation. But checking whether every single rafter bay has a clear air path from the soffit to the open attic is not on the estimate. Not in the scope, not part of the bid. The roofer who crawls through your attic checking every vent channel is the one whose quote comes in higher. He loses the job to the one who did not. Both of them install perfectly good ridge vents. One of them actually works. Nobody decided to skip this step. The step was never part of the job in the first place. The roofer is paid to put a roof on your house. Whether the attic underneath it can breathe is a different trade, a different skill set, and a line item nobody asked for because nobody knew to ask. When you get your next roofing quote, ask 2 questions. Is continuous ridge ventilation included? And has anyone verified that the soffit intake is actually clear? If the contractor looks at you like nobody has ever asked that before, that tells you everything. One honest note, some homes are genuinely missing part of the system entirely. No ridge vent. No soffit vents at all. If that is your situation, you need the missing half installed. Ridge vent material runs $2 to $4 per linear foot. Adding one during a roof replacement adds $300 to $650 to a job that already costs $12,000. That is the conversation to have with your next contractor. Clearing blocked soffits, you can do yourself. Installing ridge vents requires cutting into your roof deck. That is a job for a roofer. Think about what has been happening above your ceiling this whole time. A surface the size of your entire house baking at 160 degrees, radiating heat downward through your insulation into every room below, while your air conditioner ran and ran trying to hold 72 degrees. And less than a foot away from that insulation, there was a vent opening designed to let that heat escape. It had been there since the house was built. It just could not do its job because insulation was sitting on top of it. The most expensive surface on your house is being slowly destroyed by heat that a clear air channel would remove for free. And the shingle manufacturer who sold you a 30-year warranty will point at that blocked vent and say it is not their problem. Get in your attic this weekend. Find your soffit vents. Pull the insulation back. Feel the air move. $0. One afternoon, the warranty you paid for becomes real. The roof that was supposed to last 30 years might actually last 30 years. Drop a comment and tell me what temperature your attic is running right now if you know it. I want to know how widespread this actually is, and if this is the kind of knowledge you want more of, subscribe. One video a week. Always the same idea. The most useful knowledge is almost never the knowledge someone is trying to sell you. I'll see you in the next one.